What's up, everybody? Welcome to Sports Magazine Collector. I'm Brad, and today I'm going to share with you my collection of autographed Sports Illustrateds. All right, guys, so I still have a lot of issues that are gone away to CGC right now. I think I sent my first batch in April, and this is now September, so I'm probably still looking at another 6 months realistically before I start getting any of those back. So I figured now might be a good time to share some of my autographed Sports Illustrated collection. So I pulled out my box. I got a special box I keep these in, and there are 18. I've got 18 issues autographed, and every single one is a newsstand. Every single one has been authenticated, mostly by PSA or Beckett. A lot of them are first covers, not all, but a lot of them are. And some of them are pretty rare issues too. Some of them have really low pop counts as far as what have been graded, which was a big reason that I got them. And I have not gotten any of these autographed issues graded. So I don't want to dive too deep into this, but CGC is really weird about how they handle autographed issues. Basically, they do not authenticate. And even if yours already has been authenticated, they don't care. They don't recognize that. So you've pretty much got one of two options. They will either grade it as is and give you, the actual grade of what condition your magazine is in, but they'll put a qualified label on it and they'll say writing on the cover. Even if it's been authenticated, they're just going to act like it's some random scribbling or some random writing on the cover. Or you can ask them to basically give you a universal, a blue label, but then they're going to deduct a certain number of points, like 1 or 2, full points from your grade. So I don't like either of those options. I'm not sending any of my autographs in until there's a better alternative out there, whether it be CGC changing how they do it, or maybe another reputable grading company, CBCS, comes up with a better option. So anyway, that's where I'm at. So let's take a look at some of these issues. I'm going to start with this one because this is actually the only one that's not a Sports Illustrated. And so this is Rafael Nadal. This is Tennis Magazine. This is actually like a Chinese version of Tennis Magazine. So I think this is really cool. And if you've watched any of my previous videos, I am a huge Rafael Nadal fan. He's one of my top 2 favorite athletes of all time. And so there's actually a story behind me getting this. I've shared a little bit of this story before, but there was an autographed copy of Rafael Nadal's first Sports Illustrated cover out there that I wanted really, really badly, and I missed out on it. One of my most disappointing misses. And so after I missed out on that and was wallowing in my sorrow, I basically did like sadness, a purchase of sadness. And I went and I found this and I bought it just because I wanted to have Rafael Nadal's autograph on some sort of magazine. And even though it's not a Sports Illustrated, I still think this is pretty cool. And there's never been a copy of this graded. There's never been a single issue of any tennis magazine graded, which really surprised me because Tennis Magazine is a fairly popular publication, at least in the tennis world. They have some really cool covers. And, Rafael Nadal, Roger Federer have not been on very many Sports Illustrated covers for as big as they are. I think Nadal has been on 1, and I think Federer's been on 3. Novak Djokovic, who's now second all time in majors, only behind Nadal, he's never been on a Sports Illustrated. If we're talking about the American version, I think they've been on a couple more, like of the Sports Illustrated Chinas and that type of thing. But the tennis magazines have a lot of really cool covers of some of these athletes that you otherwise don't have a lot of opportunities for in Sports Illustrated. So I'm really surprised there's never been another tennis. There's never been a copy of a tennis magazine graded. So there's that one. All right, next up, this is Usain Bolt. This is his first Sports Illustrated cover. One of my favorites. He is also one of my favorite athletes of all time. I'd probably put him at number 6. I think I've got like a top 6 favorite athletes, and he would be number 6 for me. He is up there just because he was so incredible, so fast, just dominate everybody. So you got the nice autograph down here. This one's authenticated by PSA. And this issue period has only been graded twice in newsstand. So pretty tough issue to find. I've actually got one newsstand copy with CGC right now that's not autographed being graded that I think I projected at like a 9.0. I'm really hoping it comes back at least a 9.0, but I love that cover. So, all right, moving on. This is Larry Fitzgerald autograph there. And this is a really underrated issue. Larry Fitzgerald is a lock for the Hall of Fame. He just retired last year, so it'll be a few years before he's eligible. But I mean, when you look at his career numbers, probably a top 5 wide receiver of all time. And this issue is a regional variant. So first cover, regional variant. I've talked before how that's big time. That is a very collectible issue of a Hall of Famer, a future Hall of Famer. And so there were 3 covers that week. I think the other 2 covers were Deshaun Jackson and Darren Sproles. And there's only been 2 copies of this graded, and they haven't broken it out in the census. So I don't know which covers. I would assume probably both of those 2 are the Larry Fitzgerald. I don't really know. There's not as much value. Definitely not sending in a Darren Sproles. It could be a Deshaun Jackson. But yeah, I think that's a really cool, underrated issue. First cover regional variant. So I love that one. Okay, here is John Elway. And this is his first pro cover. He did have one cover with Stanford. This is from August 15th, 1983. I think it's his rookie year. Yeah, because it says Denver's John Elway makes a dazzling debut. And yeah, this one's pretty cool. So let's see, there's only been 5 copies of this graded in newsstand. So also a fairly rare one. And, you know, first cover is probably always most collectible, but a lot of times the first pro cover can be very collectible as well. So I think that's a very cool John Elway issue. I love this cover. So this is Juan Marichal. If you've seen my countdown list, this issue was on my top lists for the 60s because this was from August 9th of 1965. And Juan Marichal, this was his only Sports Illustrated cover ever. He was like a Latin American hero. Really, really successful pitcher in the 60s. He just was overshadowed a little bit by Bob Gibson and Sandy Koufax. But he had like that unmistakable leg kick, really cool windup. And yeah, this is a beautiful cover. And I love this autograph right here. And he's got his number 27 written on there. So, and this issue has only been graded 6 times. So also a pretty rare issue to find in newsstand. Okay. Dominique Wilkins, Red Hot Hawk, got his autograph on this newsstand copy. So Dominique did appear on a cover before this, but it was a Larry Bird cover, and Dominique was kind of in the background, like jumping up. I think it even just like shows his back. It's Dominique, but it's not prominently featuring him. This is by far his best Sports Illustrated cover. I would go as far to, I mean, what you can definitely say is this is his first solo cover, and this is his most collectible for sure. So beautiful autograph on this one. And then this issue has only been graded 5 times. So this one's also pretty tough to find. And I think that's a really, really cool one. Dominique was amazing. All right, moving on. We got the Wizard, Ozzie Smith. He got his autograph there on his leg. He also put number 1 for his jersey number. This is from 1985. This is his first cover. And this one was authenticated by JSA. So yeah, Ozzie Smith. I'm a Cardinals fan, so definitely have a lot of love for Ozzie Smith. Arguably the greatest defensive baseball player of all time. And actually, I looked this up. He has the 2nd highest defensive WAR, so that's wins above replacement, in MLB history, if you're looking at the total career. And number 1 is my guy, Yadier Molina. So Cardinals have the number 1 and number 2 most valuable defensive players of all time, according to Fangraphs defensive WAR. This issue, believe it or not, has only been graded 1 time. And, you know, a lot of these are in pretty good shape too. So if I ever have an opportunity to get them fairly graded without the funky thing CGC does now, I'm really excited to see what they would come back as. I got a lot of these from the same person from a collection of someone who passed away, and they had an amazing collection. All right, next up, Nolan Ryan. This is his first cover. So this is a really tough one to get, really collectible, beautiful autograph there. This is from June 16th, 1975, and this one's only been graded 10 times. So once again, yeah, tough cover to find. I love that Nolan Ryan cover. And next up, we have Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. His autograph, his signature is pretty cool. He just writes Abdul-Jabbar. This is not his first cover, obviously. It's actually one of his later covers from 1987, but I think it's a really cool cover. I think it's aesthetically just one of the neatest pictures of Kareem. He's been on many, probably touching 30 Sports Illustrated covers. I don't know the number off the top of my head, definitely over 20. But I think this one's really cool. And yeah, got Kareem. This one has only been graded one time. So that kind of surprised me too. I don't know. I mean, like I said, it's not his first cover, so maybe that's why, but I wouldn't think that this cover from 1987, when Kareem was obviously already established as one of the greats, he was probably widely considered the greatest basketball player of all time at that point, 1987. Jordan hadn't, done his thing yet. So it just surprised me that there's only been one of these graded. I would think there's more of these newsstands out there that just haven't been sent in yet. Okay, this one's pretty cool. Let me take my sticky note off here. So this is Sports Illustrated on Campus, and it is autographed by Diana Taurasi. So Sports Illustrated did this for a little while. It didn't last too long, where they released these issues that were geared specifically for college athletes. It was called Sports Illustrated on Campus. This was the very first issue of that. So it came out in September of 2003. And Diana Taurasi, I mean, as of now, probably considered the greatest women's basketball player of all time. And so with that being said, and with it being her autographed, and with it being the very first issue of Sports Illustrated on Campus, and it's a newsstand, I think this one's pretty cool. And also, by the way, this issue has never been graded by CGC at all. And I look for these on-campus issues sometimes. There's not a lot of collectible ones. I would consider this to be one. There's a Ben Roethlisberger that's pretty cool. A lot of them aren't really collectible today, but there's not a ton of them that pop up. And to me, this is the coolest one. So when I saw this autographed issue, I definitely thought that was a good pickup. All right, moving on. I gotta take my sticky. A lot of times I put my sticky notes on these so that I remember, if I do send them into CGC, I remember to request for labeling. So this is Joe Mauer, and this is his first cover. This is pretty cool. It says American Idol. I love the silver. I love it when they sign with like a silver Sharpie. Of course, it depends on the color of the background, but he signed right there on his catcher's equipment. And yeah, this is from, let's see, August 7th of 2006. Joe Mauer is definitely going to be in the Hall of Fame. Has not reached eligibility yet. And this issue has only been graded 4 times. So once again, not one you see very often. I think that's pretty cool. Oh, I have to put my sticky note back on there. Okay, this next one I think is going to really surprise some people. So this is Russell Wilson's very first Sports Illustrated cover, and it's autographed, beautiful silver Sharpie. This is a regional variant. There were 4 different covers released that week. I know Kaepernick was one, Andrew Luck was one. I cannot remember who the 4th one was, but this is Russell Wilson's very first cover. So I have never seen any other newsstands of this pop up, and there's never been a newsstand copy of this graded. So that's kind of mind-blowing as well. Once again, this is only from 2013. Russell Wilson, very high-profile quarterback, definitely has, would be trending towards a Hall of Fame career at this point. We'll see how his Broncos stint plays out, but I think this is awesome. Now, this one is authenticated by a company called Mill Creek Sports, which I had never heard of, but I did some research on them before I bought this. They're based out of Seattle, and they seem to be pretty legit. So, yeah, this is really cool. Never been graded. Regional variant, first cover, Russell Wilson. Okay, next up, we have Miguel Cabrera. This is his first cover. He was on an SI Latino issue before this, but this is his first just regular US Sports Illustrated cover. And this is another regional variant. So there was one other cover this week. It was Steve Nash and Dwight Howard, both in their Lakers uniforms. Actually, you can see there's part of it. There's the Dwight Howard picture that was actually on the other main cover with Steve Nash. But yeah, this is a really awesome one. I love the cover, fear his awesomeness. I think Miguel Cabrera is super underrated, just as far as his value right now in the sports card hobby and the magazine hobby. This issue has only been graded 3 times. And yeah, it also doesn't break out the variant. So I don't know. I don't know if it's been this one or the Lakers one. I know this one's been graded at least once or twice out of those 3. But yeah, I think this is a really cool one. Miguel Cabrera. This is authenticated by JSA. All right, we've got Joe Montana. Not his first cover, one of his later covers with the 49ers. This is from 1990. Joe knows Super Bowls. Actually, it's from February 1990. So I believe this was right after Joe Montana won his 4th Super Bowl with the 49ers. I didn't look that up, so that's totally off the top of my head. But I'm a 49ers fan, so absolutely love Joe Montana. I think this is one of his coolest looking covers. Just love how he's jumping up in the air, and the headline, Joe knows Super Bowls. That's awesome. You know, he won 4 of them. He was the GOAT before Tom Brady went off and has done his thing. But yeah, Joe Montana autograph, and this issue has been graded 8 times. So, you know, pretty low pop counts for that one as well. But I love any Joe Montana. So, all right, we've got 4 left. 4 left, and this is Marshall Faulk. This is Marshall Faulk's first and only Sports Illustrated cover. Once again, love the silver Sharpie down here. Marshall Faulk was a huge component of the greatest show on turf, those awesome St. Louis Rams teams with Kurt Warner at the helm. And yeah, I think, you know, I love the up close shot. This one is you almost never see it. It's been graded 1 time. This has been graded 1 time. And so this is autographed, and this copy is also in really good shape. So hopefully I get the chance to send these in someday. Yeah, really like that Marshall Faulk. Very rare issue. Never really see it. And here we have Dan Marino. This is his first cover from his rookie season. It says Rookies on the Rise. November 14th, 1983. This has been authenticated by JSA. And yeah, Dan the Man, he was a great quarterback. Never won a Super Bowl. One of the greatest players of all time in any sport to not win a championship, in my opinion. And this one has been graded 13 times. So it's actually one of the higher of the pop counts out of all these autographed issues that I have. And all right, 2 left. Okay, next up, we've got Kevin Garnett. This is Kevin Garnett's very first Sports Illustrated cover. This one's actually signed in gold Sharpie. Really like that. Authenticated by JSA. And yeah, this is from 1995. So KG, if you remember, came straight out of high school. And the headline here says, "Ready or not, 3 weeks ago, Kevin Garnett went to his high school prom. Next week, he'll be a top pick in the NBA draft." So this was right before the NBA draft. And I also love, he's got like looks like he's wearing a starter jacket. Very 90s look right here. And yeah, this is just a very cool first cover. And it's been graded 11 times. So 11 copies of this. I think that one's pretty nice. And last but not least, we have one of my favorite athletes of all time, Kobe Bryant, and this is his first cover. Now, unfortunately, I say unfortunately, this is Magic Johnson's autograph. You know, Magic Johnson, top 10 NBA player of all time, so that's still pretty awesome. But how cool would it be to have Kobe Bryant's first cover in newsstand autographed? Especially, you know, with him having now passed away, which still is heartbreaking to me. But no, this is Magic. But I think it's still really cool. And this is actually the only newsstand copy that I have owned to this point of Kobe's first cover. So that was a big reason that I snagged this. Just for whatever reason, it hasn't worked out where I've gotten just a normal newsstand. So this is the only one I have. And, you know, signed by Magic. I think it's pretty cool. So this one is also authenticated by JSA. So, all right. There you go. That is my collection of autographed issues. Hope that you enjoyed that. And, you know, drop a comment. Always appreciate likes and subscribes. And once I start getting those slabs in from CGC, I'll always share those. And yeah, no trivia this time. I kind of did this video on a whim. Didn't really do much preparation for it other than just looking up the pop counts on each of those issues. So yeah, thanks for watching. See you guys next time.